so many other fun stuff that we've developed here. The one that I'm the most proud of, the one that was the most fun for me to make, was actually a series of 3 activities on the ozone layer. And so first of all, I'm a very proud American, but I have to hand it to the European Space Agency for making the coolest visualization of the hole in the ozone layer that I've ever seen. And so that's what we're going to start out. So the first step in this series of 3 activities is geek out on the ozone layer. Go check out these websites. Go check out the European Union ozone site. Go check out the Wikipedia page on the ozone layer. Watch this video from NASA on what the ozone hole is. And the premise of this activity is that in the late 1980s, the United Nations got the nations together to create a kind of a treaty so that people would stop producing the chemicals that were doing this, that were causing this problem, right? There's certain kinds of chemicals, including hairspray products in the 80s, refrigerants, and we would use those chemicals, but then some of them would leak from time to time, and when they would leak, they would go up into the upper atmosphere, and they would react with ozone. Ozone is when 3 oxygen atoms are connected together, do a very, very good job of stopping ultraviolet radiation. And so what was happening is that if you were on the South Pole, you could get very, very bad sunburn during certain parts of the year. But the worry was that this hole was just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But they were able to prevent that from happening, basically. But we're going to make up our own mind about exactly to what extent they prevented that and how quickly is this healing itself if you go back, 100 years. There should not have been a hole in the ozone layer above Antarctica, and so we think that by shutting off these chemicals that this hole will close, right? But how long is that going to take? How quickly is it going to take? Those are all questions that you could do a PhD thesis trying to understand. We're going to look at the data for ourselves, and we're going to try to make up our own minds about how long we think it might take for the ozone layer to recover. Is the ozone layer recovering? We're going to dig into all that. The first step is to geek out on the ozone layer, learn a little bit about the ozone layer, and then the second big part of the activity is using the MyNASA data website, which is this really cool website that I learned about, MyNASA data. Here we go. There's a lot of stuff on this website, but it's data that is kind of prepackaged for use in classrooms. And the thing that fascinated me is that when you do a search on this website, there really wasn't anything on ozone, but when you go to this thing called the Earth System Data Explorer, which is this really cool thing that's about to come up, you can find ozone data. And so specifically, if you go to the atmosphere, you go to atmospheric chemistry, there's one of the options here is monthly air column concentration of ozone. You can go back and look at the ozone concentration. And you can do that for a particular month, and that's fine. But what's interesting is that there's an option here for time series data table. And so you can put in your latitude and longitude. An interesting latitude and longitude to do would be the South Pole, which is at -90 degrees latitude, 0 degrees longitude. And so we can put those coordinates in and then generate a data table. And we have our ozone measurements at the South Pole, and we can download that data and put that into a sheet. But I'm so excited about this MyNASA data page, and there's all sorts of other stuff we could use with this data, and I'm curious to hear what people think we should make with it. But this spring, I worked really hard to create 3 activities that use this data. So the first part is introducing the ozone and introducing MyNASA data. The second part is extracting the data like I just showed you. And then the third part is thinking about how quickly the ozone layer might be healing itself. So really proud of those activities. I actually got to email some of the people from the MyNASA data team as I was doing that, so I'm grateful for their help. I'm happy to help advertise their page. And this is by far my favorite activity that I've built for our channel.